but I'll put you on the spot with a question, then I'll run through your introduction to give you some time to think about it. So, knowing everything you know now, so you could start over, you do know everything that you know now. What would you do differently launching a YouTube channel in 2024? So think
Oh,
about that.
okay.
I'm here today with Kevin Matthews from at Building Bread. Kevin helps people just like you figure out what to invest in, where to start by using his simple step-by-step process. Now back to Kevin. Starting in 2024, launching a YouTube channel from scratch. You want to get to where you are, 8,000 subscribers in this particular case. What would you do?
Yeah, so what I would do is plan a series. So maybe it's 3 videos or 5 videos, and make sure that all of those things connect. And that's because YouTube is a search platform, but most importantly, they want that engagement from video 1 to 2 to 3. And you're really going to start to see a jump in subscribers and people who enjoy the content because you go for a specific question, right? And then you're like, oh, well, now that I have this, what's the next thing? So you want to make sure that you have that place to go, and then it's your video versus someone else's.
So let me ask you this. I saw this recommendation. It hasn't particularly, well, I don't know if it's worked out for me. So the recommendation was to drop videos and then connect, in your case, that recommendation, that series of videos through a playlist. Have
Hmm.
you tried that and did that work?
Yeah, so I've tried that. It has worked. Some lists are better than others. I'll say that. So some have worked really well for me, some have not. I don't know why it hasn't been as consistent, but when I did notice at the end of every video, I would say for the last 9 months or so, you'll see me say, hey, you know, I helped you with X, Y, and Z. If your next question is this, watch this video. And
Okay.
that is really when I started to see subscribers and growth like really take off.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Same with, I haven't seen, well, I mean, I don't know why. And as we get through this conversation, I'm gonna put my foil hat on and talk about my theories on the algorithm, but I won't start there. I want to lose my follow like, oh, you want in conspiracies. So I'll get them a little further into the video. But
Mhm.
I did connect playlists by topic, and my podcast. So for those who don't know, I think it's within the last. I know it's within since the pandemic. But in the last few years, YouTube has a podcast playlist. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that, and I push my podcast to there through video, and it's literally a podcast playlist that you can watch on the YouTube app, both the YouTube app and YouTube Music. Hopefully, that's some new information for some of y'all. Y'all can watch my podcast, Life After Death with the Marcus Garrett. That being said, I that's probably the most successful. I have another one that's like how to make money. I have a one. My most successful video is a student loan video with the student loan doctor, and it's like 10 things you need to know around student loans. And it's connected to a YouTube student loan playlist. The
Mhm.
video's got like 10,000, no, 8,000 views, but the playlist, that's pretty much all the watch. So people are watching that video, but for whatever reason, they're not working their way through the playlist.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's a great tip. In fact, it was a tip recommended by YouTube, but I am not seeing it play out to date. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think that is. So
Okay,
question number two. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, when I find that happens to me, what I go back through is I go and try and study and break down what made that first video successful and deconstruct all the other pieces. So, like, was the thumbnail really similar? Was the description similar? Was the title similar? And, like, kinda go back through those points. Also, in if you go to I think it's Studio. Yeah, studio.youtube. It'll bring up your account and you can go under the engagement tab and it'll show you video by video what point did people drop off, what part was more engaging, and try and compare those two things. And that's where I would kind of break it down. So in a similar situation for me, my most popular video is one I just did not expect to happen, but it was about how to invest on Cash App. And yesterday it had like 50 total. It had 51,000 views on it. And then I was like, oh great. So guess what? My next 3 or 4 videos about to be about this exact same thing. I'm gonna put it in the playlist. This thing gonna be great. And I did want to know how you can gift stop on Cash App, which I released during the holidays. I'm like, guaranteed, guaranteed, this got to get at least 10,000 views. I mean,
Right.
it just got to because the main one has 50,000. and it bombed. It absolutely bombed. It was like after a week, it was like 80 views. Like, what's going on? So what I did do is change the thumbnail, try to make it as similar as possible, change the description. I did see a bump, so it's starting to grow now. But that's kind of what I went back and did. It's like, hey, there's something I did wrong, perhaps, because people love this one video. It's the exact same topic. Like, what can I go back and change?
I appreciate that, and I'm looking at so I also have a second recommendation from that. So
Mhm.
I'm going back and looking at this video, and that was a great tip. Is like deconstructing what worked and what didn't work. But to your point, and I got this exact same thing. I'm actually going through right now. So
Mhm.
now my most popular video is how to get no, what does Instagram pay? It's like what does Instagram Reels pay or something like that. I made it
Mhm.
a year ago. I made it, and it's a short too. So it's literally a short for those who don't know. YouTube Shorts are like YouTube Reels, 60 seconds in length.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, here's how much I got paid on Instagram. Like you always the video take off, man. I needed a haircut, you know what I'm saying? I had my mic game set up right. Like
Yep.
it's just like
Yep.
I'm like, man, let me get this content out here. It's a Saturday. Let me go ahead and drop it. And it did okay when it first came out, but it's taken off since. So I've seen some videos I wouldn't say they flop in the beginning, but they don't do as well as I expect. And then like a year or two later, they're my top most watched video, most engaged video. And then I've
Mhm.
had others that take off in the beginning and then never get that level of engagement ever again.
Right.
But one thing you said there that I like, you can also see, and I was trying to tell the viewers where, but of course I'm in YouTube Studio. I'm looking at engagement, reach, but I know on the YouTube Studio app, it'll tell you which videos are recommending your video. Now I'll
Oh,
ask
yeah, it
you,
does do that. Yeah.
I personally have no idea how to control for this, but I have seen like a few videos that take off. Even Anthony O'Neill from the table, like one of his videos is the top recommended video back to my video. So
Mm.
that's
Interesting.
something for people to at least look into because I do think there's some takeaways there as far as okay, if there's a topic you want to talk about, you can at least go, okay, here's this other content that's doing well, and kind of I don't like to steal titles, obviously, but like title it with some of those same keywords, and it might
Mhm.
reflect back. Good.
Mhm.
Sound like you had a comment.
Yeah, I don't use that feature enough. I really need to like really dig into that and make, like you said, make your own version of it because if yours is being referred already, yours is a good video, right?
Yeah.
So I need to do that a lot more. I did do it with the Stocks app. If you have an iPhone, you have the Stocks app, and I noticed that somebody had made one that was really popular, and my video would be suggested after that. I was like, oh, let me just make my own version of that. So yeah, it's one I really need to dig into more. But again, the way YouTube is incentivized, it wants to keep you on the platform. So being
Right.
a suggested video is something that you want and is something that you want to encourage within your own content whenever possible.
Right. Right. And what I was gonna talk about with the playlist, and for folks to keep in mind, which I think I even touched on right there, is I guess I'm going to also ask you around how frequently you drop because I have thoughts on daily or not, especially as it pertains to YouTube. I actually
Hmm.
think dropping daily is more useful on Instagram than it is on YouTube. I think good content performs well on YouTube, period. I think Instagram rewards you, the algorithm, conspiracy hat, rewards you a little bit more for daily content, but I'll ask your thoughts on that. But
Hmm.
the one that I had as far as those playlists go, is it's kind of the you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't
Hmm.
know when I dropped this student loan video. I kind of got fortunate that so we dropped the video, we did the interview, we had on the calendar for a few months before. 3 to 6 months later, Biden forgives whatever that was, 30 billion or 30 million, might have been billion, whatever
Hmm.
million more. That became a headline, which then pushed my video up, which then links to that playlist. So
Hmm.
you got to set videos up for the success you might have, not for what you think is going on today. Because, like you said, okay, this flopped today. Okay, I'm going to give up talking about stock and investing. No,
Hmm.
because you don't know when that's going to come back around. So that's why I do think sometimes you got to just kind of what is another Instagram influencer video I was watching? She's like, sometimes you gotta shake ass for the Instagram. You gotta shake ass
Yeah.
for the algorithm. So sometimes you gotta shake and then hope that shake pays off down the line.
Hmm.
Um, I got a tip number 4. So we're kind of moving through. I wanted to give folks top 5 for your next 1,000 subscribers. Do you have a second one? If not, I've got some primers for you.
Yeah, so one thing is you have to pay attention to structure and like what the platform is made for. So one mistake I made, like you were talking about posting multiple times. So for 2 years straight, I dropped 5 videos a week, Monday through Friday, every single day for two
Right.
years. And I got views here and there. The one that got 50,000 views was in that period. But what I realized was you got to remember, you can do something on YouTube and it'll circle back a year later, 10 weeks later, whatever. Whereas on a platform like Instagram and especially Facebook and Twitter, you post something, and if it doesn't get traction that one day, it's gone,
That's a
right?
good
Just
point.
because, just based on the way the algorithm works. Like you said, like people are posting every single day. So know that when it comes to YouTube, and know that you don't have to do it daily because it's going to be recycled a lot of times, and you get to focus on quality here versus other platforms. So like because I don't post every single day anymore, I got more time to edit, more time to add B-roll, more time to, play with the audio and things like that, transitions, which is great for this particular platform, but it's not always applicable to a reel because it's only but so long,
Right.
right? It's not necessarily applicable to a place where I can just post a picture and call it a day and really have to focus on like captions and everything else. So always make sure like, hey, what is the purpose of this? What is working on this particular platform? And make sure that you have that in mind when you're trying to create
I'm gonna second that, echo that,
something.
give you your flowers. Yeah, I think, from my opinion, YouTube, and it's probably, I mean, it's the oldest. No
Mhm.
offense to YouTube. I'm actually saying that as a compliment, as a fellow old person on YouTube. Is I feel like the algorithm is the most pure, and when I say that, and I would actually say, secondly, would be TikTok, followed by Instagram, and it's mostly because the unless, and I think they're working to improve it, the SEO search capabilities on Instagram just aren't that good. So, like you said,
Mhm.
if your content doesn't take off and get shared on that first day that it drops, it's very unlikely that that will ever take off.
Yep.
I've actually
Yep.
posted videos. I'm like, man, I know this is good video. I'll delete the video, post the exact same video the next day, and it takes off. I'm like, see,
Mm.
I told you. So,
Mhm.
like, it's literally that difference between how many people like your content in that first, whatever that algorithm is. I'd say the first 10 to 30 seconds, however, it determines where it's going to place your content. And I'll come
Mhm.
back to that because I think the main thing that drives Instagram is the thing you have the least control over, which is getting on the explore page.
Yeah.
80% of my followers and content comes from posts that make the explore page, which I have absolutely no control. I have like posts on the explore page right now. I have no idea how they get there. Like Instagram won't tell you,
Mhm.
but you can see posts when they do. At least I'm sure you can too. Like I'll drop something very simple. It might be a tweet. I'll drop a picture of a tweet, but it takes off. It's on the explore page. Now it's got, and it's literally just, it has more people to see. It's got 300 likes. I got some with 3,000 likes. And I'm like, this
Mhm.
ain't, like, even me as the content creator, I'm like, this ain't nothing. This ain't even
It's not even special.
that good. But you gave it an opportunity to succeed. Coming back to YouTube, I can have a post flop. So I'll tie, so I'll go out of order. One of my other tips, which I actually think is probably number one, is video title. So I title videos on YouTube two different ways, which you actually don't even have the ability to do on Instagram. You kind
Mhm.
of do on you or on TikTok. So like the four to six words in the beginning, I saw it's actually in this book. For those of you joining late, the YouTube formula.
Find
They
it here
recommended,
somewhere. Oh,
yeah.
here
Hey, read this book, y'all.
it is.
Then he recommended something like 60 characters, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. But
Mhm.
I mean, you think about, I mean, there's 114 million channels on YouTube. I saw something like there's 26 million videos uploaded daily. So you got
Ooh.
to think about what you're competing with and how, especially this people who just don't pay. Like I think you're competing with people who pay less and less attention. So I'm like, okay, I get that, but I also
Mhm.
don't believe in it. So to what I want to accomplish, I do that 40 to 60 characters, 4 to 6 words, which is a marketing advice that I got. So, how can I tell everybody that's in this video, like this one right here, your first 1,000 subscribers? That's the first 40 to 60 words, probably under 60 characters. But
Mhm.
then I also, in the second half of my title, I have an SEO friendly. Like, what is someone going to be searching 6 months or 2 years from now? They're not going to be your
Mhm.
first 1,000 subscribers. That's not even a question.
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, does that work for you? Do you have something like that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that is a good idea. I don't pay attention to it personally. So, like, one, yes, I focus on having a good title, and having a good thumbnail. And I'll say my first year and a half, I was lazy. I didn't pay attention to it, and I didn't think it mattered.
Yeah,
For whatever reason, I was like, yeah, I don't need to have those like really goofy faces and come up with like some killer title. You do. You
yeah.
actually
It's
do.
humbling. It's
It
humbling when you
it
find out.
is, it is, because 'cause I'm like, I only got 12 subscribers this month, and then, I change things up, and then the graph just shoots up. I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
that's why everybody says it." So, you do have to think about what stands out, and what I focus on most other than, like, having I always have videos that I know people are searching for, so that's one. I always wanna make sure I'm putting something out there that somebody is looking for, and there are SEO tools for it. What I've been focusing on, this year is really focusing on that curiosity piece, and I always whenever possible, I try to make a question out of it because, 1, people come to YouTube to search, but also I wanna open that curiosity gap where somebody says, "Oh, well, why is the market down today?" Or what is this thing that, famous investor invested in? Or why does somebody do whatever? So I always try and have that somewhere in the title to open a curiosity gap, which forces somebody to click. Cause it's like, well, no, I'm thinking about it. Let me find out, right? And,
Yeah.
and, and get that answer. So that's what I try to do. Whether it's in that first like 4 to 6 words or characters, by default, I think it is, but that's I'm just looking at like what is the best question I can ask, and is that going to force somebody to like click this video and find out what the answer is?
So I got a comment and then a question for you.
Hmm.
My comment, you agree or disagree? I,
Yeah.
I agree with you that I think what's ironic about YouTube, again, maybe it's because it's older and because it's larger, is I feel like you're rewarded for the status quo. So, like you said, making those funny still frames, that's what people are used to because they've been seeing it for, I don't, you what, 20, 30 years that YouTube's been around. And so you try to be like over here with your serious people, like, I'm not clicking this. He's not making the funny face like these other 3,000 videos I didn't see. So I feel like you're almost rewarded for like, okay, I'm comfortable with this thumbnail. This looks like content that I'm used to. And I think you can do little things to stand out. On Instagram, TikTok, I'm still figuring out. On Instagram, I feel like you're rewarded for different. So there's 3,000 videos and everybody's making the funny face. I've actually used a YouTube thumbnail on Instagram and flopped. But I feel
Mm.
like on Instagram, and maybe it's because it's that explore page or because you're scrolling. So you gotta stand out from the other 30 videos I'm scrolling through. Like, oh, okay, this is different. I'm actually gonna
Mhm.
engage with this. And then you gotta have something like you said, that hook in that first 10 or 20 seconds. Yes, I've engaged with it, but why should I stick around for 30 seconds or longer? My
Mhm.
question, which I think I know on Instagram, you said you were dropping 5 times every day on YouTube before, either one or both platforms. Are you still dropping daily? If yes or no, has it hurt or helped?
So no. So right now I just post 3 times a week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I've actually seen an increase in engagement, views, and everything in between. My theory as to why is because it allows the content to breathe a bit more. Because if you think about it, one, it doesn't allow me a whole bunch of time to market if I'm posting every day, right? So I got Monday's video, and the next day I got Tuesday's video. Like, do I really get time to like send it to my email list or like pump up the video and share it in other places? I don't really have time to do that. I had to get to the next video and do it immediately.
Right.
So the fact that I can slow down, I can schedule content a bit more, and that gives me time to go do research, get fun and interesting things to put in the video to keep people more engaged. Surprisingly, I'd actually put out a poll to my subscribers. Hey, look, if we cut down from 5 to 3, would y'all be okay with that? They were like, yeah. And it was by a big, like 60% margin.
Okay.
So I did what my subscribers asked me. I did what was most comfortable for me. And again, it really comes down to quality, and it just allowed me to have more time, deeper research, and like before, you would never see like words on the screen. But there are studies that show whether it's the moving captions that you see on Instagram or even on my shorts, or just just words on a standard YouTube video, that actually keeps people looking at the screen, which is going to keep them engaged, which is going to help the algorithm and everything else. But again, when I was posting 5 times a day, I gotta record the video, make sure it's good, create a thumbnail, create a title, and edit just that day, and then turn around and do it tomorrow. Like that was really difficult to do and keep up with quality control and everything in between.
So I'll give somebody, I actually don't do it anymore, but I'll give some people some pro tips if they're just starting out. Uh, Probably don't want me dropping this, on drop it anyway. So Instagram and YouTube, let me make sure, Instagram and TikTok, excuse me. Instagram has a free caption, which is okay. I mean, it's free, so you
Hmm.
get what you pay for. It's okay.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's gonna miss some words, and you can correct it, but it's a pain in the, you know what? You know what I'm saying?
Oof.
It's a family friendly show, you know. Uh, YouTube, or excuse me, TikTok also has captions. It's built right in. So basically, if you don't want to buy captions, or you're not sure kind of how to lay out captions, both apps have captions, and in the editor of both, this is where I had to make sure I wasn't misspeaking. So you can download your video after you post on Instagram and you or TikTok and YouTube, but all three of them then embed their watermark on them.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up, which is funny, 'cause, like, this is that internal business conflict that you get in. So let me make sure I get this right. YouTube does not ban watermarks, at least not publicly. I have my thoughts on YouTube does some behind the scenes stuff, but they
Hmm.
don't have a public guideline against watermarks, and that's probably because they have so many content creators, photographers, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They would also ban half their audience, so
Right,
that's
right.
probably why. Instagram has a ban against all watermarks. So if you take a YouTube video that did great with a
Hmm.
YouTube watermark and you post on Instagram, Instagram's gonna allow it, but it's gonna downrank it. And you'll be
Right,
like, why did this video get 3 views? That's
right.
because Instagram's not gonna prioritize it. TikTok, I don't think they've publicized this, but I've definitely seen it. I feel like they banned Instagram, 'cause they got some
Hmm.
weird thing going on with Facebook. But I
Hmm.
posted YouTube videos to TikTok. They work fine. They had that. They have
Hmm.
the exact same engagement, the exact same feel. So all
Interesting.
that, yeah, all that to take away. Personally, if wherever possible, I'd avoid putting videos up unless you're obviously, like I said, a photographer or someone trying to protect your work. But I think watermarked videos across all platforms, maybe with the exception of YouTube, where it's not publicly banned, they downgrade. So if you want
Mm.
to edit, because I love TikTok's editor, I edit in
Mhm.
TikTok, download from TikTok. You know, the phone's all probably listening, like all my content about to get downgraded. You know what I'm saying? This is all probably going, oh, really? You know, I'll probably never see the explore page again on Instagram. And then I post to Instagram. So that's just kind of a little freebie for the players out there, little, life hack.
Yeah, that's smart, and this is why I focus on one platform and just really try to really just put a lot of effort into YouTube, for a few reasons, but I don't know, why they gotta make it more work on us, man? Like, I it's enough to create good content, but
Right.
now I gotta pull it down and redo it 3 different times. Like,
Right.
I ain't got time for it, man.
Yeah,
I
exactly, man.
really
Like, can't y'all, like, it feels like the creators, which I'll call myself, we always the ones suffering. Because the other
Yeah.
change on YouTube is, so I do primarily shorts now.
Mhm,
So for again, people joining the middle, YouTube shorts are like TikTok and like Reels. They're all copying off
mhm.
each other.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, I do that. So 80, I was looking at I got 70 subscribers this month. 80% of those were from YouTube shorts. And I think that's funny. The reason I didn't move to YouTube shorts out of some like grand scheme or like any kind of strategy. I was like, they're quicker and they're easier. And I'm already making
Yeah.
60-second videos. So
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
now I can do it on YouTube. So obviously I'm going to move this way. And it happened to work. I also have a theory, put my,
Mm.
conspiracy hat back on. I think YouTube is pushing shorts to compete with TikTok and Instagram. They're all like trying to do
Oh,
this
yeah,
stupid
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I've read a few things about how they were trying to compete, and that's why they even pushed shorts to begin with.
Right.
Um, I totally believe that, and I started to put a more emphasis on shorts. I gotta do something tonight and cut them. But the thing is, it's everything as somebody who's an econ major, it's all about incentives. People do what they're
Right.
incentivized to
Right.
do,
Fact.
and you start to put friction there, bro, I'm gone. So
Yeah.
when it comes to YouTube and what I like and why I do shorts, like if I had to download or I guess because I've already recorded, if I take my 10-minute video and do it all myself and then re-upload and do it, I ain't got time.
Yeah.
But YouTube has that remix button where you push the remix, hit remix, and you just slide it for whatever thing that you could think is going to be the most engaging. You can schedule it right there in the app. So that's what I do.
Thank you for bringing that up. So another pro tip for the people, for those who don't know what the remix button is, you can remix actually any video. It can be vertical
Mhm,
or horizontal, 16 by 9 or whatever the other one it is, 6 by 9, I think it is.
mhm.
And YouTube will optimize it for short. So let's say
Yep.
you have a 10-minute video, it'll take 60 seconds and you can carve it down from there. The pro tip I was going to give people is to tie it together. So go to your YouTube studio and look at where your most watched portion of the video is. I think they have some apps that will pick it out for you. So again, I'm cheap, so I'm doing
Yeah.
all this. I'm doing all this manually. But you can go in, look at your watch time, look at your little bell curve, and wherever your most watched portion of the video. I usually do about 15 seconds before and after because this is obviously an engaging part of the video. Another thing that I've seen on that, those shorts seem to do better because I think YouTube pushes them doubly. So it's like, hey,
Mm,
this is created from a video already on our platform, so
mhm,
we can get
mhm,
twice the amount of engagement from anyone that we put this video in front of. And it's a
mhm.
built-in feature of the remix that when you click on that short, it tells you what video it came from. So you don't have to do all that crap I was talking about earlier about creating a
Yeah.
playlist and description. It'll tie it right back to the video. So
Yeah.
great tip
So
there, man.
one thing that you brought up, which I did not think about. So here's how I do shorts, and then I'll go to that point. So one, I used to use there's a thing called Captions app, it's called Captions that puts like the fun like AI captions, and it does a really good job. And I think it was less than $20. I feel like it was like $7 for the app. And that did save me a lot of time because it's engaging. It's I mean like 99% accurate. Even when I talk too fast or have some country words I throw out there, it always catches what the word is.
Right.
So that's one thing that I use. But it used to have, and it still has an AI generated shorts. So I would copy my URL for like the 10-minute video, and it would pick out and cut and put captions on 5 shorts for me. So within 10, I would say like 5 or 6 minutes, it'll go through and pull what it thinks is the most engaging. What I noticed is I am better at picking out the most interesting pieces of a video versus
Hmm.
the app itself. The app
Okay.
would get, kind of okay views. I would go and pick it myself and get thousands of views.
Hmm.
What I do is I try and leave it on a cliffhanger or well, yeah, usually just a cliffhanger where it's like what was the answer? Or what was the other piece, and then have it linked because you have the option on
Yep.
YouTube link to the longer form of the video. And I've had people say, "I'm here because I wanted to get the other half of the story or something like that."
I like that.
I have not thought of looking at the engagement, just picking the highest part of it. Why have I never thought of that? So that's something I'm gonna do tonight because again, you have the data there to just say, "Hey, people love this part. Why don't you just clip that part?" So thank you for that.
I'm gonna give you another one. I haven't done this one. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna pass the pass the baton. So I'm gonna give
Uh
you this
huh.
tip. I'm too cheap and lazy to do it. But there are Fiverr. Whatever you feel about Fiverr. You not specifically the audience or whatever. But I
I didn't
like
know I didn't know
Fiverr.
there were feelings about Fiverr.
Yeah, for what it's used for. But they said there are people you can hire on Fiverr, and that's all they'll do. So you can buy
Mm,
software for it, or you can grant them your password through a secure software,
mm-hmm.
and they'll go in and they'll edit all your videos down to shorts for the most popular
Mm,
portion of your content for
mm-hmm.
$5 for those of you who are not familiar with Fiverr. So I haven't done it, but it does. I was like, oh, that's a great idea that I just haven't
Mm-hmm.
executed on. And I pass
Yeah.
forward to somebody in the listening audience to execute on. The other, and I guess it ties to YouTube Shorts. This was kind of I'd be interested in your thoughts. This was kind of like a humbling slash painful to my ego lesson learned from me. So people probably have noticed that I started dropping shorter videos, which they are probably grateful for. It hurt my feelings because I'm like, I only drop great content. I wouldn't be out here if I wasn't spitting bars. But I started doing that because okay, I was looking at my watch rate and people were dropping in the middle or not even making to like you said, what I think is the best part. Actually, I even know is the best part of the video. So like they're not even making it to the gym because they're like, oh, this is 15-minute video. I ain't got time for this. I chopped that exact same video into 3 5-minute videos, and it's like Netflix, they'll binge the whole thing. I'm like,
Mm, mhm.
so have you had that experience, or what has been your experience?
Yeah, so that has not necessarily been my experience. I normally don't have videos longer than 8 minutes. Like, if I go 8 minutes, that's usually pretty long. The only exceptions are if I have a full tutorial and I have, like, a whiteboard showing people stuff.
Okay.
That's rare, but people do tend to watch the entire thing because it's a tutorial, right? You're trying to learn a specific skill. But the primary reason why mines are usually pretty short, between 5 to 8 minutes, is it used to be because I don't have that much time to edit, and I'm lazy, and I don't feel
Yeah.
like editing down a 20-minute video, so I'm trying to get through stuff quick and make sure I can get it as fast as possible. Now that I have more time, because 'cause I'm only doing 3, I just keep it that way out of habit. And I think my job and what I try to do is, like, make it quick, make it simple, give people the answer, and by the time I'm done, if it's been 5 minutes, and I just go with that.
I like that because that's kind of a loose gauge that I have right now. So, for example, if I record a podcast, when I go back and edit, and I'll even take some notes while I'm listening, I try to, okay, here's a 7 minute gym. So let's say it's 21 minutes. I'm like, okay, here's 7 minutes of gyms right here.
Mm, mhm,
And it was actually
mhm.
a tip I got from, I'm going to say a listener because they're going to come back with their executive
Mhm.
producer. So I ain't going to say who they are. But
Yeah.
it was a good tip they got. They're probably listening right now, like, I knew it was a good tip. And they're going to come back with some more that I don't need to hear. Because they about 20 for 80. They ain't 80
Uh-huh.
20. They were like, yo, like I mean, they basically say what you said earlier. They're like, you have great content over the arc of the 30 minutes, which is lost in the dips in the like your commercial break. So you kind of, you
Mhm,
get on a little tangent, you go over here, y'all talk about this, y'all laughing, giggling, y'all talking
mhm,
about what y'all did in fifth grade. I don't care about none of that. But the
mhm,
content itself is great. So again, I had to humble myself for the audience and be like, okay, where's the 7 minutes of gems, and now I cut off that 10 minutes, it's a 10-minute video. I cut it down to 7 minutes of gym. I cut off 3 minutes of fat, which is no work
mhm.
as far as editing. People were like, yo,
Right.
that was a solid meal right there.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because nobody likes the filler and stuff, and sometimes it hurts. So, like, for me, if you watch my videos from 2021 to early 2022, I had, like, a little bumper, a little intro. It was my daughter. She was sweet, and she was trying to talk, and I was like, I sat her in my lap. I'm like, "Hey, my name's
um,
Kevin," and then
what
she has.
I remember
Huh?
that. I said, for
Yeah,
what it's
yeah.
worth, I remember that.
Yeah, so and then she would blurt something out, and then I'd start the video. When I tell you I started looking at the analytics and people dropped every time she showed up, I was so hurt.
Y'all
I
like my
thought it was
baby?
yeah, I was like, "Yeah, y'all like my baby? What happened?"
No, I feel you.
So engagement when I took her out, engagement took off, and people stayed for the entire time. And somebody actually commented, like, "What happened to the baby? She was cute." I was like, "Bro, that she was, but
Tell that to the
y'all
other viewers.
exactly tell it to everybody else." And I guess looking back on it is because I came in for the stock market and instantly there's this baby. What is this? And that little bumper that thing wasn't even 5 seconds. It wasn't even long.
Yeah.
But I saw it would people would watch, it would drop to the depths, and then whoever stayed, like, stayed. So yeah, it's humbling sometimes, but you gotta go with what the data is saying and give people what they're looking for.
That's another thing I would say because I think sometimes people don't know, like I said to you earlier, give you flowers. I don't think people know how to give flowers and to content creators, so to speak, while they're present, And it's as simple as, the likes and the shares, but people are like, okay, I watch, I'm gonna move on. My sister's really good about this. She likes everything I post. I don't think she watches anything, but
Yeah.
she has enough people in her sphere of content creators. She's like, I know this means something to them. I know this will help with the algorithm. I don't
Mhm.
care nothing about personal finance. It's my brother. I'm gonna like this video. And if you want that, this listener, they're like, what happened to the baby? Is like, tell you, like, you got to engage right there. I'm like, that's a cute baby. Like, you got to drop something in the comments to let me know this is the content you want to see. Because otherwise, I'm gonna listen to the silent majority, and I'm gonna see all these people skipping ahead, ignoring my
Mhm.
baby, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, people don't want to see my baby no more. And it
Mhm.
might be 80% of the people do, but that's the quiet majority.
Right, right. Yeah.
The other tip I have here, you talked a little bit about it, is, and I'm gonna hit all these at the end here. I'll wrap up with the video thumbnail. So I started the video before you joined. It's kind of like, to me, I started with, I'm an auditor by trade. What was the data? Like, that's why this book was so helpful to me that I plug again. And I need to get my affiliate link in the, in the description so I can get paid for it. But like, it really went to the data. It's one of the few books that I've read. It's like it got rid of all the fat. It actually helped me get better instead of just talking
Mhm.
about the fluff. And one of them was that the average click through rate was 2 to 10%, which again was hurting my feelings because I was already there. I actually didn't realize how well I was doing a lot of categories until I read this book. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in that middle ground. Now I just got to execute. Are you seeing that? I mean, do you know, or like, do you know your click throughs or do you know your watch? Is that even a metric that you use? Or what do you know success?
Yeah, so, like, what do I look at in terms of success for what I'm looking at?
This was a good video. How do you know that?
Yeah, so I use the YouTube Studio app, and when I get green arrows that look up, I say that's success. So, for me, it's usually, um, I think 3 to 5% is my average, but if it's 5% or more for a long form video for click through, like, I know that that was good. My watch time is usually around 50 to 60%, depending on what it is. So it means, 8-minute video, somebody watched at least 4 minutes of it. That's when I say, okay, this was great. And then for me, and this is recalibrating because I'm getting more views now than what I did last year.
Okay.
For me, and remember, I was doing volume, so I was putting out 5 videos a day. If it hit 100, that was my bar. It was like, oh, okay, this was good. It hit 100 views. That's 500 views a week. That'll add up. So now that I'm posting less, anytime I get something uh, of 100 to 200 views within that first 24 hours, that's when I know that this is pretty good and it's probably gonna, take off or hopefully take off from there. But that's kind of my metric, which depending on how many subscribers and what time frame you're looking at, all that stuff changes. But I got a video now that came out maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and it's only at 95 views or something.
Hmm.
So I'm like, that probably didn't work. So next week when I start to play my content, I'm not talking about that. So I use that. I anytime I find a video successful, I try and like, what can I branch off from this? What can I learn from it? What type of topic can connect to it so that I can keep that success rolling?
So I'll ask the question and then I have a comment. So
Hmm.
let's say one of that video that's under 100 views. Do you delete or
Hmm.
archive your lower performing video?
No, so I don't delete them. I keep it up for a few reasons. One, being lazy. Two, I feel like it was good, so I'm gonna keep it up there. But because it's YouTube, you never know when somebody's gonna circle back to
Right.
it.
Okay.
And because I try and make my stuff evergreen. You just never know when that thing can come back up. Like I
Okay. I wasn't sure if I lost him or he lost me. It looks like. Oh,
okay,
you back.
okay. I don't know why I just said reconnect.
Uh,
Um, So you're asking if I take videos down. So no, I don't
right.
take them down because I think because it's YouTube, people can circle back at any point in
Right.
time. My most popular videos I didn't think about them, forgot they existed, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're getting a lot of views on this. And then last was like, I thought the content was good, so I'm gonna leave it up anyway. So I always leave them up, and then the last reason is just progress. Sometimes
Right.
I'll go back and look at my videos from 2021, but ooh, that was awful. But I leave it up there to show, like, hey, I've evolved. Here's some
Yeah.
mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
And again, the more I put out there, like the less of the ones that didn't do well, they're not gonna matter as much
Yeah, I wasn't really as for me. I know there's a lot. There's like the never-ending debate on really all the apps. Like, if a video underperforms, do you delete it? I feel like some of it's superficial. I think, like you're saying, some people are just embarrassed to have a low-performing
anymore.
video.
Yeah, yeah.
I usually don't care one way or the other. On Instagram, I never really delete. I might archive. Some people, that's a feature, so I might archive a video because I don't know how it affects the algorithm, so to speak. I feel like every video helps Instagram or whatever social media know more about you. If I don't delete anything, I might archive some videos. I agree with you because some people might be surprised by that, like 100 to 200 views, 100 to 200 videos. I feel like, once again, this is something they will never admit, but I feel like, at least on TikTok and YouTube, I feel like that is the sample they use. So they
Mhm.
put your video on the explore page and they see how the first 100 to 200 people engage with it. The reason I
Mhm.
say that is I see a whole bunch of comments and I see it in my own videos of people like, I'm in this 200 view prison.
Yeah.
All my videos get 200 views. And I'm like, it would be very weird that everyone's unique experience is 200 views. Now, there's some people
Yeah.
out there like, man, my video got 5 views. I'm like, hey, well, that's the next echelon is 200.
Right,
And then
right.
I noticed once I escaped 200, like I had 2 videos on TikTok, maybe a few more, is 20,000. Now I can't get past 20,000. Like I feel like they put you in these, like, okay, we're gonna put him in this audience and see how he performs here. Let me be clear. She, he, them, and all the pronouns. They're gonna put him in front of the audience, see how that performs. And I feel like there's these tiers that they tested, and I'm sure they got this
Oh, yeah.
algorithm behind the scenes where they know this is how this video will perform with our audience, which I think is why YouTube circles back because they think about 114 video channels, 26 million a day. How long it would take to show 200 people that video
Mhm.
26 million times 114 million,
Right, right, and I think for it's a timing thing and it's an audience thing too, right? So if it takes 10 minutes to get 200 views, then boom, let's show it to 10,000. Let's show it to
Right.
whatever,
Yep.
right? If it takes you 10 weeks to get 200 views,
Yeah.
then it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And then, what type of content and what type of audience you're looking at. I think that's something that I've had to realize. So like I've had people who started YouTube channel exact same time I started. Actually, one of my good friends, we were like in a text group, and his very first video got 20,000 views. 20,000 views on his first video. I'm sitting here like, now you telling me I only got first
Kevin has
off,
left the
like
chat.
yeah, I'm like, all right, man, let me get out of here.
That's what it is.
But his topic in his channel was about relationships, and it was some celebrity couple, and he did this whole breakdown. Like you gotta realize that you don't always want to compare yourself to everybody else, but
Right.
like the audience for learning how to invest for me in finance is much smaller and much different than a sports channel or a relationship
Right.
channel or somebody that's talking about Taylor Swift or Marvel movies or whatever. Right. So like you just gotta realize that and know that success for me might look different than success for somebody else.
Appreciate that. I've got 1,000 more questions. I'm sure the listening audience does too. But keeping to how I open with, I'm going to keep to my own model. I'm going to tease. So hopefully I can have you back. But I think I'll also hit your next 1,000 on Instagram. Maybe we go live on Instagram. I'll
Mhm.
even tease it up. So the top 5 I had there was hashtags, reels, explore page, optimizing profile, and I'm going to hold on to number 1. You'll have to tune in for your next 1,000 followers on Instagram. If you're an overworked or underpaid and you have follow-up questions from today's episode, visit themarcusgarrett.com or the video description below to join my free weekly newsletter or book me for one-on-one coaching. Thanks for coming on the show, Kevin, and let the folks know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on all things social media at Building Brand. You can find me on YouTube at Building Brand as well.
And for those taking notes at home, I did not forget those 5 recommendations were number 5, optimizing your video description. I put this at number 5 because I seems to be the least relevant. I also think YouTube has down ranked the use of, I mean, they blatantly cut out using links because I think there was so much spam. Once again, they
Mhm.
punish the content users for the spam links. So you can't even use spam links, or you can't even use links even if they weren't spam. Number 4 is optimizing your YouTube landing page. I actually learned that from YouTube Buddy. If you have thoughts or you want that exact video link, shoot me a DM. Shorter videos, like you said, under 8 minutes, I think are performing pretty well. Number 2 for me is video thumbnail. I've actually had
Mhm.
videos flop. I do nothing but update the thumbnail and they take off.
It is a
And
real
then
thing. It's a real thing.
and then video titles would be number 1 for me. Once again, I've had videos flop, change around the words. 4 to 6 words is my sweet spot. The book recommendation is under 60 characters. And then I do personally on the back end of that an SEO searchable term for the long game. So 40 to 60 characters for the day you drop. Rearrange that title until you get 30% watch time. 2% is my goal engagement. 4% is my average. 2 to 10% is the average for YouTube. And then finally, video titles, SEO friendly search for that long game because we want y'all to be successful content creators and influencers. Thank you for tuning in and look forward to having Building Bread back on the show. About to be out, everybody, so I'm disconnected. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you.